Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. This is Enrico Verrecchione speaking. Here with me, there is Vincent Bush directly from Volt Hamburg. Good afternoon, Vincent.
Good afternoon. I'm actually from Volt Groningen. I'm not from Volt Hamburg.
But you were
But
from
it's
Volt
nice to
Hamburg.
have. I was from Volt Hamburg,
Okay,
and it is about Volt Hamburg.
it is about Volt Hamburg. I wasn't completely wrong then. So we are here because today is the day where the Hamburg State Election are decided by the voters in the city of Hamburg, which is a city but also a state. As you know, Germany is divided in regions called Länder, and today the Hamburg region is going to renew its parliament, and it is the first time that Volt participate to a regional election in Germany. The second time it participate to a regional election in its history, because a little bit more than no, a little bit less than a month ago, we covered the election in Emilia-Romagna. That was the first time where Volt participated to a regional election all over Europe. Volt got 0.43%. Today is the first time in a German region, and it is an extremely important region in terms of logistics, in terms of location, and everything else. As I said, here with me there is Vincent Bush, which is from Volt Groningen, but he has been living in Hamburg for several years. Is going to keep us updated on what is going on in Hamburg. There are still 28 minutes before the polls close. How is the atmosphere in general in Hamburg and in Germany, Vincent?
Well, that is a good question to ask to the Hamburg team. Maybe somebody's going to join us from there later on. I think they're going to have an election party, so we'll see how the atmosphere is then. I am home and looking at news, and I'm fine, and I'm looking forward and excited to see the results.
Exactly. So, what will happen today is that starting from 6 in the afternoon, the exit polls will be published from the local medias, so either the newspapers or the TV, and we are going to keep you posted. Then the counting of the votes will start. It will be the counting, there will be updates at 7:15, at 7:30, and at 8 in the evening. Most likely the final results will be ready by 10:30, although we are not planning to go that far for our live. It will probably last for 2 or 3 hours, just in order to understand how the situation is for Volt and for the Hamburg state in general. It was an extremely important week in German politics and for European politics as well. Unfortunately, there was the terrorist attack in Hanau from right extremists that costed the life of several people. In Hamburg on Friday instead, that's maybe a little bit better news, Greta Thunberg was visiting the city and was participating to the Fridays for Future, which are occurring basically everywhere in the world, and she was participating probably to raise the awareness about the climate change right before the election. And of course, this election is also important in a national landscape because, as you may know, a few weeks ago, the voting in the parliament, in the state parliament of Thüringen, caused an uproar from the especially forces that are against the Alternative for Deutschland, the nationalist party, which is also participating to the Hamburg state election, although it may have lesser chances to affect local politics because it's a state which is strongly leaning on the left. But of course, the balance of the national politics will depend also in this election. Feel free to comment. I see that we already have some people commenting. David is mentioning that there is an echo with Vincent's voice. We will try to fix it with some magical technical devices. Of course, as you can imagine, we are. Yeah, I mean, I'm home as well. Not just Vincent, but I'm broadcasting from home as well.
Yeah, I hope there is not going to be much of an issue with it because I don't think I will be able to fix it since I'm not playing the sound from any speakers or something. I don't really know what the reason for it could be.
Okay, I'm trying to see what is the issue here from the directors board. But anyway, let's go a little bit further in this election. I'm going to explain who are the candidates in general, not just Volt candidates. We will have our candidates live right after the polling will close at 6. We are going to have for sure Mira Alexander and Patrick Fischer. We were supposed also to have Valerie Sternberg, which is the European president of Volt, but she is not here at the moment. So we will try. We tried to contact her. Probably she may have some technical issues. Otherwise, she would have already joined us. But we hope that she's going to be here later on because, of course, having one of our co-presidents. And she's from Germany, so she knows a little bit better the situation. Also, it may be very helpful. To sum it up, for those who are new to this experiment, we are broadcasting every election where Volt is participating. We did it about a month ago for the election in Emilia-Romagna. We are going to do it also next Sunday in the evening. That will be from 10:30 in the evening because Volt will participate for the first time to an Italian election to the national parliament because there is a by-election, meaning that the local member of the parliament in Rome has resigned. He was the former Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni. He became European. He joined the European Commission, so he had to resign his post. And Volt is running for his post. There will be several parties, and Volt is among them. This is a first past the post election, so it won't matter the percentage, but just the first one to get most votes will win. And then in 2 weeks later, there will be local elections in Germany, in Bavaria, from Munich and from Nuremberg and also from Bamberg. And on the same day, there will be the local elections in France. Paris and Lille will be the forefront runners. The first French-placed cities where we are running. Also, we didn't run there at the European election, so that is extremely important. But and that will be a huge deal for us. But what's the matter today? Hamburg State Elections means that the voters from the Hamburg State, which is mainly the Hamburg city plus a few areas in the surroundings, but it's basically the metropolitan city of Hamburg, will elect the parliament, and the parliament will have the duty to elect the mayor of Hamburg, or the, let's say, leader of the Hamburg state, and that will of course depend a lot on which party is going to have the most of the votes. And if no party has an absolute majority, that will depend of course in coalitions of parties. In Germany, usually the coalitions are the center left, which is made of the Social Democrats and the Green, or the center to the right coalition, which is the Christian Democrats, the Social Christian, and sometimes the Liberal Party, which is the FDP. So far, there are also two other competitors, which is the Left Party, which is usually not joining any big coalition, sometimes with the Social Democrats, but it's not always the case. On the other hand, there is the Alternative für Deutschland, the Nationalist Party, which is an Eurosceptic party, which is, though it has never run in a coalition with anybody, and its support to the election of a liberal president in Thüringen has caused an uproar, which prompted also Angela Merkel to send the CDU president in Thüringen to understand what is the situation, and there may be even a new election in case there is not an agreement with the other parties. What is going on instead here is that there is a former president from the Social Democrat Party, which has the absolute majority of the state parliament. His name is Peter Tschentscher. Most likely, the Social Democrats will still be the first party, but it is likely that they won't have the absolute majority this time. And the big question is if the Green Party will step in. The Green Party of Germany has grown a lot. It was going over the Social Democrats in several state elections, even in the European election, and its main candidate is Katharina Fegebank, and she may be the one who's gonna challenge Peter Tschentscher for the leadership in case the Greens manage to overtake the Social Democrats or reach an agreement for a joint coalition. The leader of the Christian Democrats instead is Markus Weinberg. The Christian Democrats reached 15.9% at the last election. They were ruling the state about 10 to 15 years ago, but they did it just for legislation, and then the power went back to the Social Democrats. Then there is the left, as I said, the Linke, the party which is sitting at the extreme left of the German National Parliament and the Hamburg Parliament. The leader is Cansu Özdemir. It's a woman from Turkish roots, and the left party can also be an important frame in case the Social Democrats won't have the majority, although it is likely that they may create one with the Green Party. But let's see also what will be the results from the left. The last election, the left party received 8.5% of the votes. At the center, there is the Freie Demokratische Partei, the Free Democratic Party. It is a liberal party. The local leader is Anna Elisabeth von Treuenfels-Frohwein, and the party received 7.4%. It depends. Also, the result of this party will be important to understand the local balances. It is a little bit more likely that the FDP will cooperate with an eventual Christian Democrat majority, but of course the balancing of this election can be challenging. And then finally there is the Alternative für Deutschland. The local leader is Dirk Nockemann. At the last election, Alternative für Deutschland, which is a national conservative party, received 6.1%, getting 8 members of the Hamburg State Parliament. So far has been sitting at the opposition, and it is unlikely that it will run in a majority with one party or another. At the last election, there was also the Pirate Party. It is running also in this occasion. The party got 1.6% and did not elect anybody because there is a threshold which is made of 5%. And for the first time there is Volt. And the challenge for Volt is getting 5% of the votes in order to enter. From the proportional part, there is also a first past the post area, which is including several districts in the city of Hamburg. The system is quite complicated, and I think Vincent is the person who can help us understanding a little bit what will be the outcome. Like, how does it happen? How do the votes are given by the voters in the Hamburg State Election, Vincent?
Well, so it's, as you mentioned, a really complicated system. I don't entirely understand it myself, actually. But so it's all of the voters get 2 voting papers, and one of them, they're both very big because you have many options, and they are like both in like booklet shape, and you have options for choosing a local representative of one of the parties that is running in your electoral district, and then there is also the option to vote for a party that is running in the federal country of Hamburg, and that party is, well, anyone that is running anywhere in Hamburg, no matter if they have a representative in your district or not. If we basically get the 5% threshold statewide, then we don't necessarily need the local votes. But what also would be great is if we get enough votes in one of the districts for 1 or 2, maybe even 2 of our candidates, then they are going to be in parliament for sure, no matter if we pass the 5% on state level or not.
Thank you very much, Vincent. There are several districts. What could be? Well, there are two districts where we are actually running, and those are the two districts where we will try to elect our candidates, no matter what will be the results of the general election, because that is the case of Altona and Eppendorf Winterhude, which are the two areas where Volt is trying to get a relevant result. What can you tell us about Altona and Eppendorf Winterhude? I mean, you were living in Hamburg. You can explain us a little bit what are the discussions of the local politics? What will be those? What were the terms of the campaign during these months?
Um, I know the main points of the Hamburg election program. My knowledge of Altona and Winterhude is fairly limited, since those are places that are very far from where I lived in Hamburg. Um, they are known to be more south than where I lived. So sorry about my lack of local knowledge there. Big topics for all of the city, but I think especially for those districts as well, is definitely going to be the politics discussing what to do about the harbor, because that is one of the main economic activity centers for Hamburg.
Yeah, and that was one of the proposals from Volt. The campaign from Volt was prompt to propose some solutions that are already adopted by other cities. This is the case, for instance, of the Harbor Coalition between the cities of northern European countries, Hamburg, as mentioned, Rotterdam or Copenhagen, as role models for harbor management. Then there were other examples, for instance, the management of the living cost, especially for the rentals, because of course rental costs are skyrocketing all over Europe, and that is the case also in Hamburg, which is a city that has a lot of students, a lot of people moving in from Germany and from the rest of Germany and also from the rest of Europe. So that is indeed the case. And for instance, the role model for Volt was the local politics in Vienna, the capital of Austria, which was indicated as a model to keep the living cost from the citizens a little bit lower. But for those who have never been there, for those who have never been to Hamburg, how would you describe the living life of the city? I mean, what is going on in Hamburg? What do you think people are expecting from the daily life of a city? I mean, you were living there. I guess you were also studying there. So, is it a city that can be compared with other places in Europe also?
Any place can be compared with other places in Europe, of course. It is different than any other place for sure. And it has a big variety of environments, also of living conditions inside the city, which is relatively special, I guess, because the different districts of the city are also fairly different from each other. All have like very distinct um, problems, but all, or at least most of them, feel very much connected to the city of Hamburg, to the inner city. And I think that's also why it was a good idea to focus on mobility for our campaign in Hamburg, because especially in like the edge districts, like one of those was the one I lived in, it takes quite a while to take the public transport to the city center, and it's not cheap. And if we make transport, uh, public transport, affordable for everyone, that would be a great step to get the city further ahead.
Thank you very much, Vincent. I need to correct myself because I said that the Social Democrats had the absolute majority in the outgoing parliament, but that was actually not true because they had 59 members. They started actually at 58, then another one joined during the campaign, but they were 3 seats short of having an absolute majority, so they had to build up a coalition with the Green Party already. Although the comparison in 2015 was much different because the Social Democrat Party got 45% of the votes, the Greens got 12%. So the Greens were more than 3 times smaller than the Social Democrats. Of course, according to the national trends, this is not what we are expecting from this election. But of course, stop talking about the other parties. Let's talk about Volt because yeah, that's actually what we're gonna do. We will try to enter the state parliament with our candidates, and maybe we can try to cooperate with the actual majority. Maybe we will oppose it. I think it will be a matter of negotiations. Also, I think Germany is a place where negotiations can happen between different parties. I mean, there is the national coalition of the Social Democrats and the Christian Democrats. The Christian Democrats in other occasions are ruling with the Green Party. So anything can happen at a certain level, especially if parties have a politically educated management from their leaders.
So if we take a look at the opinion polling for the Hamburg elections, especially since the 2019 European election, it is notable that the opinion polls consistently give much lower percentages as expectations for votes that go to other parties than the ones that are currently in parliament, than what was actually the result of the outcome. The opinion poll from May 2019, before the elections, said expected only 2% of votes to go to other parties, while in the actual European elections of 2019 in Hamburg, 12% of the votes went to other parties. So we do, I think, have actually quite a chance, since now the opinion polls, not the real election results, expect other parties to have about 5.5% of the votes.
Thank you very much. How was Volt doing in Hamburg at the last European elections?
Volt did quite well in Hamburg. I think, if I remember correctly, that Volt got 1.2% of the votes in the city, which is quite good for Volt's first time election, EU elections result.
Well, it's basically the double of what we got at the national level because we got 0.67, if I remember correctly. Are you there?
Well, I guess so. Yes, I am there. I just did not have an immediate response to this. I'm looking forward to the exit polls at 18 that Volt Europe has announced. I'm not sure about the times, but you mentioned them before, so you probably know.
Yeah, I hear you kind of better right now. I'm not sure if there is a problem with the audio. In the meanwhile, I was trying to understand a little bit what is the history of the political history of Hamburg, and going back in time, not even too much back in time. The mayor of Hamburg has changed a lot. Hamburg was a city that was split between the liberals and the Social Democrats for several years, basically since its inception in 1946. The mayor of this town was either from the Liberal Party or from the Social Democrats. That happened until 1993, where the Stadt Party became the biggest one, and Gerhard Ritterhaus became the mayor of the what is called the Hanseatic town. It was ruling in a coalition with the Social Democrats, so the town was still leaning on the center left. And then the Green Party came with Christa Sager, who was also the first woman to hold this post as mayor of Hamburg. Then there was the case of Roland Schill. He was mayor of between 2001 and 2003. In being running a coalition which was headed by the Partei Rechtsstaatliche Offensive, PRO, which was a populist party, but not too different from what we see today in Alternative für Deutschland. Then the majority went back again between center-left and center-right. The last election in 2015 was giving the prize for the role of the no, that was sorry, what I was mentioning was the role of vice mayor, because that was the vice mayor from the PRO, while the role instead of head mayor at the time was still in the hands of the CDU, Ole von Beust. Then there was Christoph Hallhaus in 2011. Then again, the Social Democrats came back to power with Olaf Scholz. He was confirmed in 2015 from the elections. Katharina Fegebank which is the leader of the Greens, was acting mayor of Hamburg for 15 days. So she has been for a while. And she was actually the first woman to hold the post. So I was actually mentioning the vice president, the vice mayor role, and not the main one. She was the first woman to hold this post until.
This is not true. The first woman to hold the post was actually one, two, three, four terms, five, six terms before, with Christa Saga in.
She was the vice mayor. She was
or something?
She was the vice mayor. I realized it later on.
Oh well, yeah, she would be if she won this election. She would be the first female mayor. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, she was acting as mayor because for 15 days after, because Olaf Scholz was appointed as minister in the Angela Merkel government, which is running the country. In the meanwhile, we have 2 minutes before the exit polls, so keep ready for that. We are going to have some graphic description, but it may take a while because we are still not experienced. In the meanwhile, while we are waiting for the exit polls, we suggested to share this link on our social media channels or just among your friends so that we can listen together what is going on for Volt. There are 3 candidates for Volt that are running in the first past the post. It's Patrick Fischer and Mira Alexander in Altona. We are probably going to have both of them later on. And then Philippe Antoine Fontaine from Eppendorf, Winterhude. Although there are other 10 candidates running for the proportional area, but it's a very long list, so we cannot sum it up all together. But we have 3 candidates that are also our, let's say, Spitzenkandidate. That's the name of the head candidates, and they are running, let's say, our party, and they have been giving a face to our party recently. I think especially Mira Alexander was really involved. I saw her in several, let's say, commercials. So we were giving a very important role to these 3 main candidates, probably because they're gonna represent some important areas of the city, and they will distinguish their campaign also in a very local manner.
Yes, and also, of course, as the election has the one part where you can elect local candidates, it is a great chance for them if they get elected on a local level to go into parliament for vote immediately. Then we also have a first piece of news from the election. Not yet any results per se, but the amount of people who went to vote is already higher than in 2015, with 57% by by 16 p.m. Well, no, that's wrong. You don't say times like that. You know what I mean? 16. And in 2015, we had only 52% by 17. So this year is going to have much more people participating in the elections.
Okay, there is the first prognose, the first exit poll. The SPD is ahead, and according to the exit polls, the Alternative for Deutschland is not in the parliament. It would be out because they would be below the 5% threshold. Unfortunately, that applies also for Volt, because Volt is not included in the percentage. So we are going to show it also in the screen within a few minutes. But the Social Democrat is ruling with 37.5%, so they would lose about 7 points from the last election. The Green Party is more than doubling its amount with 25.5%. The CDU is collapsing with 11.5. Linke is with 9 points. FDP with 5% and AfD with 4.7. So according to the exit poll, the AfD would be out from the state parliament, which is definitely a good news. Volt, though, would not be in the parliament either. That's not very good news, but let's say it's something that we were imagining it could happen, at least as we are debutant for this election.
Indeed, I am trying to check the polls from the other main newspaper of the city, and they seem to be late or having server issues. So I want to see the results that you just read. I don't so far.
I saw it in Mopo.de, the Morgenposten, one of the two main newspapers from the Hamburg city. So yeah, that is basically my source of information. I am going to update the results in the screen also, so just bear with us a few seconds, and you will start to see what are the results for this campaign. As you can imagine, and as we were imagining also, there is large chance that the next government will be again a government between the Social Democrats and the Green Party, but with a much different balance of powers, because the Social Democrats have lost partially their support, while the Green Party has more than doubled their support. It was expected. I mean, the Green Party is generally doing really well in Germany, and the Social Democrats are not doing so well. A lot of voters are going from one party to another, mostly from the red to the Greens. Could this mean a better outcome for Christina Fegebank? I mean, could she try to negotiate the position of president, despite the Green Party is not the main one right now?
It's definitely possible, but I doubt that it's going to happen. I think it's just rather unlikely that a party which did not get the most votes is going to end up negotiating the mayorship for them. It definitely does give them some extra leverage in the negotiations, but at least if I were the Green Party, I would rather want to push more of policy agenda points into the coalition treaty rather than try and um, become receive the mayorship, since that might actually infuriate quite some voters who would not like to see their mayor be someone who did not actually get the most votes for their party.
Okay, right now we don't have any update for Volt. They are not reported. We can tell you that according to the exit polls, the other parties are listed at 6.8% altogether. So it is unlikely that Volt will be making it into the parliament, at least according to the proportional seats, because 71 seats out of 121 are elected in local constituencies. They are multi-member constituencies, and there is a 3% threshold for them, although it depends also how big is the local constituency. So even more than 3% may not be enough. But in that case, what we can already say is that the outcome of the election could be good, could be positive for Volt if in Altona, for instance, we are getting a better result than in other places, because that could mean that our our race to the local parliament was positive. So you really never know what is going on. Of course, a system where there is a threshold of 5% is not helping smaller parties like Volt. It is true that the voters can divide their support from a party to another, but still this means that a party like Volt needs a lot of efforts compared to others that maybe have more resources, more visibility, and yeah, that is, I think, quite the challenge for all of us. What do you think?
I can't disagree with that. It's definitely a challenge we are going to have to face, and I think the I don't think we are such an old party by now that we're gonna have people getting bored of us. I think most people just don't know Volt yet, and I believe that our voter base is a lot bigger than like our theoretical voter base, if everyone knew us, would be a lot bigger than the votes we are currently getting.
In the meanwhile, Vincent, do you have prognosis also for the seats in the parliament? Can you update us on the majority? What can be the majority in the Hamburg parliament?
Yes, so the newspaper Hamburger Abendblatt has released their exit polls as well now, copied from the ARD, the German broadcasting company. Um, so according to their poll, the parliament, consisting of 121 seats total, is going to have 51 seats for the SPD, 35 seats for the Greens, 16 seats for the Social Democrats, 12 seats for the left, and 7 for the FDP. The main change is the, well, now again, absence of the AfD, which is very welcome.
Who's
Possible coalitions, I think, could be, but I'm not sure. Greens with the Social Democrats, that is definitely a possibility to continue like that. I think that's the most likely option. It would also be possible to form a coalition with the Greens and the Christian Democrats and the Liberals. And since they a very unlikely one would also include the Left Party. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, we will try also to keep you updated about what is going to be the result for Volt. We are all cheering for Volt to make it into the parliament. According to this exit poll, it is going to be hard. We knew it. The threshold is definitely something that maybe needs to be changed. I don't know. This is a big matter in some countries, a little bit less important in others. But of course, the fact that we don't have the possibility to enter the parliament, getting a result below 5%, even shortly below 5%, may be something that makes the voters not trust us as they probably would. Soon you will see the exit polls in the screen. I really hope that it's gonna look good because I am not extremely sure about what it would look like. I am not an experienced in design. Just give us a few seconds, and you will also see what is the outcome. So as I said before, the other parties. Okay, now you should be able to see it. Other parties are listed at 6.8%, meaning that none of them will make it above the 5% threshold. I think this is also explaining a little bit. I hope this is something that helps you understanding. Right now, the authorities, the Hamburg and German authorities, are starting to count the votes. As I said before, there will be a first update on the results at 7:15, 19:15. Then there will be a second one at 19:30, and the final one at 8 o'clock. So in about an hour, we will have the first official results. So what we see right now is just something coming from surveys. So people basically are being asked which party they would vote while they are walking out or walking in the seats. It may also be affected by some reticence to show who you are voting, because of course there are some parties or some people that may be a little bit ashamed of who they are voting, depending on the situation in the city. For instance, the exit polls historically in several countries, they have been favoring the left because it was considered less shameful to vote for a leftist party rather than for a conservative one. And then when the official results came out, it was always the other way around. And when there are tight races, you can see also a big difference. But Vincent, I think there is also another case that can be relevant. The CDU would be definitely far behind the red and green coalition. Could that mean something for the German government in this case?
I doubt that's going to mean a lot. The CDU is going to lose less than the SPD is, even though the SPD is still going to win the Hamburg elections. Hamburg has always been a rather left-leaning federal country, so I don't think there's going to be much change for the federal government. But I do expect quite some favorable unhappiness amongst the AfD voters if these results are as expected. But so far, nothing is certain. And I also still have some hope that Volt might get a seat in parliament, or maybe even two, since the Hamburg election system has a sort of twist that I don't know if it's common or not. I haven't heard of it at any other elections so far, which is that all voters don't get one vote, they don't get two votes, they get 10 votes, and they can distribute them amongst different parties and candidates. And many people actually choose to distribute their votes between different parties because they aren't sure what to vote for, or maybe they want to have voted for the winner, but also want to support like maybe a new alternative. So that can still make some difference, especially since those questions are not asked that detailedly in the exit polls.
So, for instance, just to make an example, I can imagine a person voting for the Green Party or for the Social Democrats or even for the Liberal Party saying, okay, I want to give four of my votes for Volt. I will give four of my votes, sorry, for the Social Democrats or for the Liberal or for the Greens. I will give one to Volt because I want to see them in the parliament as well. I just don't want to put all my expectations on them because they may be out. That is the reasoning behind that.
Yes, that's basically a possibility.
Well, that changes a little bit the expectations. We knew, of course, that the system is quite complicated, and as an Italian, I'm happy to see that our system, for once in a while, is less complicated than the German one. But then again, we will see. I mean, as also David posted in the comments. Again, feel free to comment, to send your comment in the chat because we will be extremely glad to see what is your opinion about it. And David is saying that probably tomorrow or maybe tomorrow afternoon we will know the exact result of Volt. Hopefully, at the first official results broadcast at 7:15, we will see our name there. That would be that would make us extremely happy and show that we can actually make a difference also inside the institution because of course having an impact outside institutions is always positive. It means that you can work also without having the resources that bigger party have, and that is natural. But of course, having someone there like we have with Damian Böselager in the German parliament, or in some smaller municipalities like Mainz in Germany, like Germany is a big role model for all of us. Also, the Netherlands are doing good, although they didn't elect anybody at the European Parliament, but that's because they have less members of the Parliament. That means we can really have an impact. Maybe it won't be this time, but I think the candidates and the volunteers from Hamburg can give us a lot of their impressions of like, yeah, we did this was good, we did this was not really helping. So I think a lot of it, we are earning still a lot of experience. Did you experience the European election, Vincent?
As in, I followed the European elections. No, yes, I actually experienced the European elections since I attended the European Elections Party of Volt Hamburg back when that happened.
Okay, that is, yeah. I mean, we all did it, and Volt Hamburg was among the places that supported Volt in Germany, where we elected our first, right now only, member of the European Parliament. The electoral history of Volt right now is, especially in the local election, has had quite good experiments. In Italy, we had the regional elections where Volt got 0.43%, basically with no resources. So 10,000 people voted for us, even if we had basically no chance to go to the majority of the people as the biggest party did. There was a smaller town where I actually come from, Novi Ligure, where we got 1.43% of the votes last spring. In other cities like Rotterdam or Amsterdam and the Netherlands, at the European election, we had great results. But not just Western Europe. That was also the case of Bulgaria because Volt participated in a coalition, not alone, and it received quite good votes, especially in some smaller municipalities like Haskovo, where we managed to elect also some local candidates. Before we are going to our first break, which will last for like 5-7 minutes, so that both Vincent and I can go drink something and rest ourselves for a little bit, but especially try to contact. Yeah, I mean, we have a few guests. We don't know where they are, especially Valerie was supposed to join us, but she kind of disappeared. So I hope she's fine. She could not, we could not reach her so far. We will try to reach the candidates. I hear some noise in the background. Is that an ice cream truck, Vincent?
That is less of an ice cream truck and more of a like the emergency vehicle, the ambulance. It's an ambulance. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that sounded a lot like an ice cream truck in the background. We will sum up a little bit the situation before going to a break. We are broadcasting all the local elections and national elections where Volt is participating. The next meeting will be next Sunday at 10:30 in the evening, where Volt will run for a by-election in the Italian Parliament, where our candidate Luca Lomuzio-Lezza will compete for one place at the National Parliament, as the member of the Italian Parliament, Paolo Gentiloni, resigned after he was appointed by the European Commission. This will be an extremely important vote because it's the first time that Volt will run for a parliament election in Italy. Right now we are commenting the Hamburg State Election. We don't know how Volt is doing because the exit polls were not showing it. We are, as you see in the screen, there is the gray area saying 6.8%. We are in this 6.8. Hopefully we are the biggest part of that 6.8. We don't know. What we know is that the Social Democrats are still the biggest party and the Greens are the second party, and they have the numbers to form a coalition to rule the Hamburg State Election. Do you still have the seats that you were mentioning before? The number of seats that the parties will get out of this election?
Yes, according to the ARD prognosis from 18, um, the SPD is going to win the most seats with 51, the Greens the second most with 35, gaining an exceptional amount of 20 new seats. The CDU has 16 seats, losing 4. The left gains 1 seat, that's up to 12, and the FDP loses 2 seats. So they have 7, and we are getting insults in the comments. That's
Okay, I will
not very
cancel
nice.
them, of course, because
But
we are positive people.
yes. Also, we have news about the comment of the CDU top candidate Markus Weinberg, who has commented the exit polls, comparing them to bad weather. It's the worst result that they ever had in Hamburg so far.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, yeah, we had to cancel this person because, of course, it was really not nice. But yeah, we just want to greet all the AfD voters because this result is making us extremely happy, even if we don't make it to the European Parliament. I think we can say that we can fairly say that if the AfD is out of the Hamburg State Parliament, we already have a very good reason to celebrate.
That's a nice point.
So yeah, thank you very much, Vincent, for your update. You are going to see very soon the seats from the parliament. and we are going to go on a break for about 5 minutes. We will be back right after 6:30, commenting the results and hopefully having some guests with us. Thank you very much. We will be back in about 5 minutes.
See you.
And we are back, or at least I am back in the call. I think Vincent is not at the microphone right now, but we are
Which
going.
is false.
Oh, it's false. You're back. Okay, I thought you were not there. Okay, that is really really good news and not a fake news. As you may see in the screen, we have updated with the amount of seats that each party would get according to the first exit polls. And as you see, we have there is a very strong majority between the Social Democrats and the Green Party. But other than Vincent, I think we have some other guests right now. I don't know if she can hear us. Mira Alexander, the Spitzenkandidat for Volt Hamburg. Good evening, Mira.
Hello! I can hear you. I'm actually here with Patrick. Do you also want video or should we just talk?
No, you should just talk. It would be great to see
Okay.
you, but that's a radio broadcast.
Yes, basically so.
Yeah. How it is
I've
going?
also seen a comment which I would like to answer real quick before we continue. It's by the user Citronenus, who said, sadly, after other is subtracted, AfD gets over 5%. Good news is that
Oh, we have some audio problems.
yes, indeed. Sorry, I'm going to repeat what I wanted to say. So, Citronenus said, sadly, after other is subtracted, AfD gets over 5%, which is true, but luckily, the others don't get subtracted. The parties have to reach 5% of the total votes, not of the votes that get into parliament. So, if the exit polls are going to mirror the results, the AfD is out.
Okay, I think Mira and Patrick are online. Can you hear us, guys?
Yes, we can.
Okay, there is a very huge noise in the background. I hope that our listeners can hear us. So, how it is going so far?
Yes, sorry, we're actually outside because inside it's too loud and so you hear the cars. So I hope that I speak loud enough. We try to find the quietest corner possible and dry because it's actually been raining all day. It's going very well. We're very, very happy, everyone. We are a big crowd. I think, how many people are we here?
About 70?
70 people probably at our little election party. And obviously we are very, very happy that the AfD most likely will not enter parliament. That is already a huge success. And other than that, the other parties being at 6.8 is, I think we may have a significant share of that. Let's put it this way, but obviously we don't know.
Yeah, we only know in about an hour or so when we have the first real results from the elections, but it might be a result about 2 or 3%, which is fantastic because this means that there's about 20 to 30,000 people out there in Hamburg that voted for us and our positive vision of Europe and of Hamburg. And that is like more than twice the vote that we got during the European elections.
There is, I think, an important aspect though that we should consider. Both of you are candidate in the district of Altona, so even though we may not get more than 5%, your presence in Altona may have a very positive impact, even in the outcome of the election.
Yes, so I don't know how much you already talked about the very complicated electoral system of Hamburg, but yes, so Altona has 5 direct mandates, which we obviously did a lot of work to get a high percentage there, but we don't have the results there yet, and we would have to have more votes than, for example, the CDU, the conservatives here, in order to actually get one of these mandates. So it is, I mean, anything is possible, but we don't know.
Yeah, it is near impossible to get a direct mandate as a small party. But the thing is that we are looking at the specific results now of the constituencies, which is then very, very important for all of our future data analysis for future elections. So that might be very valuable for our reading of the whole election campaign.
I have a question right now about. I mean, there are already communications from the leaders of the party. For instance, Tschentscher, the incumbent mayor, said we are the leading power in Hamburg, and this is indeed true because the Social Democrats, despite a few losses, are most likely retain the majority and also the coalition with the Green Party. What would you say right now? I mean, there is a good chance we're not entering the parliament, but what would you expect from the leading coalition that most likely will be Social Democrats and Green Party? What would you say to Tschentscher or to Katharina Fegebank?
Did you get that?
No. Could you repeat the last part? Sorry, we didn't hear you.
Yeah, I meant what would be the message from you to Tschentscher or to Katharina Fegebank as they are going probably to lead again the state of Hamburg for another 5 years?
I think there already has been a clear message that we already did send over the last election campaign, because what we realized over the last couple of weeks in the run-up for the election day was that even during that phase, parties, the Green Party and the SPD, more and more start to take up issues that are really important to us, such as a car-free in a city, and we're actually already sort of forging the conversation in the city, and this is of course what we will continue to do on a basis outside Parliament.
We also have new comments about the elections from the leaders of the SPD now and the AfD, with the AfD candidate calling the... I'm sorry, these audio problems are really severe.
I muted. I know. I just say I muted Mira. She can unmute herself once she wants to answer, just because otherwise Vincent would not be hearable. Go on, Vincent.
So the AfD Spitzenkandidat has commented the election polls result as the result of a campaign of maximum repression. So they might, they are really bitter about those, which is combined with quite some Schadenfreude on my side there.
Thank you, Vincent. I'm getting again to Mira and Patrick.
Yes.
Apart from the result, I mean, we don't know yet the percentage of vote. It could be something good, because if we get a good part of that 6.8%, that can mean something for us. But apart from that, what is the experience that you will take home from this election, and what you're most likely going to share with the other vote chapters that will run for a local election in the future in Germany and, let's say, all over Europe? You should unmute yourself because I muted you before.
Yes. I think one of the main learnings externally is that the other parties, they take us serious, and they talk to us on, obviously they are realistic enough that if you run for, or if you participate in elections for the first time, you'll probably not get 5% from the start, but they do take us seriously, they take our ideas seriously, and they take us seriously, and I think that is something very, very valuable that we should build on. Internally, we already discussed a little bit of debrief structures, and communication structures are everything. is the key message to everyone, and we will be happy to share our experiences and knowledge in the coming weeks and months, and feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to talk to every chapter who wants to run in local elections and share our learnings and experiences.
Thank you very much, Mira. Right now, technical information so that we have everybody on run. Mira and Patrick and whoever all the candidate wants to join our live, you just have to join the conversation that we have. So don't worry. We are actually extremely glad to have fresh voices from Hamburg. So whenever you wanna intervene, we can open our microphone to you. I would say I have a last question to the duo that was sharing with you. What are you going to do tomorrow morning after the election? I mean, all the other politicians, the one that are going to be elected, or the one who are, even those who are not going to be elected, they will go back to the parliament, or they would go working for their party. This is not what we're going to do, because we are volunteers. We don't live out of politics. We are basically very, very common people. What are you going to do tomorrow morning after, or let's say on your first working day after this election?
Okay. I will be at my job, at my regular job tomorrow at 7:30. So this is what I do, no matter how long the fight is gonna last tonight.
And I actually took the day off tomorrow, but so I will probably sleep at 7:30 in the morning. But and then just usual work starts again, and probably with more free headspace and concentration on our actual work and not on the campaign.
Yeah, not solely on campaign issues, not solely on Vox. However, of course, we're going to continue to debrief and, as Mira said, to inform others about our experiences here in Hamburg.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Again, feel free to come back to us, or if there are other candidates that wants to join and give us their opinion, they're more than welcome, especially after 7:15, when we are going to have the first results. Right now, I wish you just a very, very happy party, guys.
Yes, have fun and see you around.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
So,
to answer David's question from the YouTube chat, what is that background static noise? It was wind and cars and traffic from the candidates' broadcast, because they were not able to find a very quiet space.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 70 people at a electoral party, that is just great. I mean, I was in Bologna a few days ago, where there was actually a huge fort and it was way below it. But there was a reason. A lot of our activists were at the polling stations to witness the counting of the votes, because I don't know how that works in Germany, but in Italy, it requires a lot of attention to be, in order to be present and to get it. So it is true that in Italy we were a bit less, but also a lot of the activists were really busy with their the counting of the ballots, because that requires the parties to be there. So that was not the similar case. So Vincent, thank you in the meanwhile for updating us on the communications from the leaders of the parties. Do you have you seen anything else going from the media? Some news that you would like to share with us? Something that you saw during the day, and it is worth to communicate in the meanwhile.
So far, we don't have many more election news. The CDU on federal level has now also commented the elections, continuing the series of comments from before, admitting to having basically a bad time politically at the moment with the background of the elections in Thuringia and the whole debacle going around that. Um, they they congratulated the victors of the election. I'm not actually sure why why they chose to do this before the actual election results are in. But of course, being the CDU, they are really obviously not going to have a good result this election.
To answer that clearly, even if the exit polls were not completely correct, the majority of the Social Democrats and the Green Party will still be extremely large. I mean, even if the CDU will get a couple of seats more, considering that the exit polls may be wrong, of a couple of percent, 2 or 3% margin. In this case, the race is definitely not tight. We were expecting such a result, maybe not such a big defeat for the CDU, because, okay, of course, the AfD is the biggest loser of this game because they lose their representation in the, if the exit polls are confirmed, they lose their representation, although they may be they are really on the edge because it was 4.7%, so it's a matter of a 0.3% who could make a difference for them. But of course, the CDU, as one of the ruling parties in the country, is indeed getting a very bad result. I think they basically understood that there is no chance for them to have any impact in forming a coalition with the two main parties that are running. There is a comment from Christina Fegebank, but I think you should help me because my German is extremely poor. Sind selbstbewusst. What does it mean literally? Because I can't really recognize that word from my poor German.
Selbstbewusst means like self-confident.
Okay, then that's the then this is the comment from Christina Fegebank about a potential coalition with the Social Democratic Party. There is confidence for it, and I think it couldn't be different. They ruled the city, the state for 5 years, and despite of probably difference balancing in the positions, the coalition will continue. Of course, right now, what I'm thinking, especially in a national perspective, because Germany will have next year the national election, is what we can expect in the national relationship between the Social Democrats and the Green, and maybe where, because we are Volt and we have to talk about Volt, where Volt will place itself in this area, because of course in Europe the biggest part of our votes are coming from either the liberal area or the green area, maybe partially also from the Social Democratic area. So those are the parties we are challenging on some aspects, but with which also we share the most. So I think that in the national perspective, something should work also for us in the dialogue with the Greens and the Social Democrats. What do you think, Vincent?
I don't have much to comment regarding this. It seems logical. The the results are so far not updated since 18. You mentioned a lot of times at the beginning of the stream. Do you know when we will get new poll data?
That will be actually not a poll data, but that will be from the official counting. and that will be at 7:15. That should be the first result from the official counting of the votes. We just started, so we are about 20 minutes far away from the first communication of the official results, and hopefully in this occasion vote will also be counted. As you see in the screen, for those of you who may have joined our broadcast, we know so
Stream?
far, yeah, our stream, we know so far the results for the major parties, so those who are most likely going to be represented in the parliament, or those who were going out from the previous parliament, so those who managed to enter the parliament in 2015 when the Greens and the Social Democrats starting their ruling coalition that right now led Peter Tschentscher to be the incumbent mayor of the city of Hamburg. But of course, there are a lot of aspects to take in consideration, which most likely is, I mean, the first thing that we see is that the AfD, the party nobody wants to talk with, is at least publicly. I don't know if other parties are having secret talks with them, but definitely not us. The AfD is out from the state parliament of Hamburg, which is probably what is going to add the news. What is already adding the news in German medias. Then we can consider the growth of the Green, but that was maybe something that we were expecting at a higher level, because that was shown also at the last European election all over Germany, and also in other state elections. The Greens are slowly replacing the social democratic establishment, and probably this is going to affect the national politics in a very quick future. I was checking.
We can also compare the results of the exit polls with the last opinion polls before the elections, and it shows that it is mostly everything as expected, except the SPD has lost a little more in comparison to what was expected, while the AfD is the only one that is like really surprisingly under 5%.
Exactly, yeah. The last polls from basically last week, because in Germany there is no limitation from when the polls can be published, while in other countries this is a little bit more debated. The results are much different in this case. But no, I mean, not the result. The results are very similar in this case. They are really different from the European elections, but of course, the amount of voters was also a little bit different. Within the months, probably the two parties that lost a little bit more of their support were the Greens and AfD, because the first polls in autumn were saying that the Greens were the biggest party. They were rated around 29%. They got 25%, which is more or less what they were polled at the last survey before the election. And the same for the AfD, which was getting 8 or 9% from the polls, and now they are at 6%. The Social Democrats also grew in support during those months. They started to be around 27, 28, and now they are faring at a larger amount of 30 what was that? I completely lost it. That was 38%. There is, though, I think maybe a new prognosis, or that was the same as before. No, yeah, we have a new prognosis for what is the matter of. Yeah, we have a new prognosis. Which is basically stating the same results as before. There is a very, very small change for the Social Democrats, who are getting 38% instead of 37.5. So this is a little bit more accurate. The left party, Die Linke, is getting 9.5, so they're getting 5% more than what they were expecting. The AfD is getting 4.8 instead of 4.7, so they would still be below the threshold of 5%. And the other parties are quoted at 6.2 instead than 6.8 as before. But generally, and the CDU is also going down. They were at 11.5, now they are at 11. I think I'm going to share the screen again with the amount, with the results, with the percentage, so that we can have a little bit better overview for the parties. What you're seeing right now is the amount of seats that each party will have. In about 15 minutes, we are going to receive also the first official results, because what you see right now is just the exit polls. Yeah, just bear with us a little bit more. Any news from the media, Vincent? Vincent? I think we may have.
Thanks for mentioning that I was muted.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have any major news so far, but the what was it? The industry. Let me check. I forgot. That's a complicated word. I just saw it a minute ago. Why? It's the okay. Yeah, I have it again. It's the industry representation body, I guess, of Hamburg, has commented the election, congratulating the Social Democrats to their victory and advising them to be open for all sorts of coalitions.
Yeah, well, of course, a coalition will be needed because the Social Democrats won't have a majority of the seats. They didn't had it last time either, although they were very, very close to have it, because they were 2 seats short of a majority. What happened basically is that they earned one member of the parliament more during those 5 years. I don't know from which party it came, to be honest. Maybe it was an independent. But in the meanwhile, they had to run in a coalition with the Green Party, which is now gaining more votes. But that probably was not a doubt. I mean, we kind of knew that the Social Democratic Party would have had to run in a coalition together with the Green Party. Maybe if the results were different, they would have needed also an assist from the Linke. But I think a cooperation with Linke may be a little bit too controversial in this occasion, especially as the policies of the Green have become a little bit more moderate during the years. So I think the cooperation between those two parties can be easier than the one with the Linke. I don't know if that's the same perception that we have in Italy or that we have in other countries, but probably the Greens in general, where they are faring well, it's because they are mixing environmental issues with maybe a better economic overview of the society compared to what they used to do in the past.
And it's definitely also like a welcome coalition partner for most established parties, since the Green Party obviously focuses on environmental and well, mainly on environmental issues. That's why they're called the Green Party after all. And many parties don't have any explicit policies which ban them directly from integrating their policies with environmental issues, which is why the Greens are always a welcome partner for coalitions for most major parties.
Exactly, and I mean not just in Germany, but we see it in neighboring Austria, where the Green Party is in a coalition with the Popular Party of Austria, which is more or less comparable to the CDU in Germany, and they are running together the government coalition because there was no majority. So even the conservative or popular parties or the members of the EPP parties are considering the Greens as a potential partner. Uh, I think, and that is maybe what we can expect in the future, that Volt will earn also this positive atmosphere, or will be welcomed by the parties. I don't know what could be our relation to the CDU in Germany, but I think that all the other parties in the progressive or liberal sphere could be potentially good partners for a government in case we will ever make it to a state parliament, as the case of Hamburg, or maybe even to the national one. There are some aspects that maybe we need to focus or to address rather to make it happen, because of course we have less presence in the traditional media, as the television or the newspaper. So we really have to struggle to gain our space. But I think if the enthusiasm and the wish is what the Hamburg chapter has shown us today, being present at a state election, this moment is not too far.
Yes, and we are like looking into the future. If or when we don't achieve the entry to the parliament this election, we are still going to be a more known party in Hamburg after the election, since many people probably just recognize that Volt is a thing in this one. Also, of course, running for the election brings us media attention, even though it is not as great as those of the established parties.
Okay, as you may see right now, we have updated the screen, so you can see that there is a small change in the percentage that the parties got since the first exit poll. This one was the second one that came out at around 6:40, and the results are pretty much the same as we saw before. The big question right now is if the AfD are out, as it seems, and also the FDP, because we see that the FDP is considered to be 5%, so 0.1% less, and also the FDP is out from the regional parliament, which still would be quite of a news. We still don't know what's the outcome for Volt, but we will get to know it in about 7 minutes when the first official provision from the state of Hamburg will come out. So we will get to know also a little bit more in details what was the result for Volt, because right now Volt is listed among the other parties that got 6.2% altogether, meaning that probably we want to make it over the threshold of 5%, which is right now keeping in the Liberal Party and out the Alternative for Deutschland. So if you agree, Vincent, I would say to go on a short break. We will be back at 7:15 with the first provisional results for the Hamburg election, so not just exit polls anymore.
Yeah, that sounds good. Time to get some more water.
Thank you. See you soon.
Yep.
We are back. We are back, and there is the first provisional results out of the 5% of the count. We have a good news and a bad news. Let's start with the bad news. Vincent?
We are apparently not going to make it.
Actually, the bad news is that we don't even have the results from Volt because it's not stated yet. Although we have some ideas from what is coming out on the results, but they are pretty much the same.
Yes, we can basically see the data of the votes as they come in, even though this is not a anything close to final. Right now, of the votes that have been counted,
Yeah, exactly. So there is an update from the ARD. I don't know if you can hear me, Vincent, but okay. So basically, there is an update from the ARD, which is
I can.
German state television. I think there is a little bit of delay. That's why we can't hear each other. Okay, I'm doing some things here at the screen that you may not like, but so basically we are having updates from the German state television that are giving us the results from the 5% of the votes counted, and the results are pretty much the same as the ones from the exit polls, meaning that there would be a strong majority of the Social Democrats and the Green Party. Now you should be able to see it as well. So the Social Democrats are deemed at 37.6%. The Green Party is at 25.4%. The CDU at 11.4%. Linke 9.1%. FDP 5%. AfD at 4.7%, meaning that they would be out indeed from the race. And finally, the other parties where Volt is also listed at 6.8%. I mean, the bad news is that, okay, we knew we wouldn't have made it, but we actually can say that we are around 1%. That's what we can see from the partial results, which are not extended over the whole city. So we can't really say how much we're making in a place rather than into another. But the results are indeed quite good for if we consider the fact that we are not present in several areas of the city.
Yes, and with live counting going on, we have currently received 698 votes, which is 1% of the currently given votes. So at least that is something. We don't know how it is gonna continue.
Absolutely. We can also tell you that in Hamburg Mitte, so in the center of Hamburg, Volt is receiving 1.6%. It was something that we would expect as we are considered the party that is faring better in the city center, in the little bit more well-off areas. But that would be definitely a very, very big result. We are receiving in the city center 1.6. The FDP is right above us with 3.5. So we are actually challenging a very old and established party as the FDP. There are other areas where maybe we are faring a little bit worse, as Billstedt, Wilhelmsburg, where we have at 0.2. But that is also an area where the presence of the Democratic Party is much stronger. There is no update from Altona right now. Altona is the municipality where Mira Alexander and Patrick Fischer are running. So right now there is no result from that specific area of the city where we actually have a little bit stronger presence. In the meanwhile, if we go to see the results in Eppendorf Winterhude, where we instead have another candidate, which is Philippe Alain Fontaine. In that area of the city, Volt is getting 2.8%. That is great. I mean, it's a huge deal.
It's more than half of the AfD's vote, and they have a lot more members.
Yeah, definitely. I mean that is a result that, and almost the same with FDP. The FDP is deemed at 5.1, AfD at 5%. Soon we will update you also with the result. As soon as Altona results are arriving, we will send you an update from the votes. But I really think that this result for us can be something important, especially in those areas where we are present, because of course if there is an area of the city where we have never been, where we are never campaigned, it makes sense that we are not doing good everywhere. But in Eppendorf Winterhude we are above 2%, so that means our candidate Philippe Alain Fontaine was doing good. It was recognized and people were actually very happy of his presence, because that result would be amazing and would prompt us to be even more present in every area of the city.
Definitely. The more candidates we will have, and also, of course, the more advertisement we will have in the future, the more people will know us, the more people will know that our policies are great.
Exactly. If you're wondering what will be our next broadcast, you don't have to wait too much, because next Sunday at 10:30 in the evening, we will broadcast live the by-election of the Roma 1 constituency of the Italian Parliament. The Italian Parliament is having a few by-elections in these days. One is happening today in Naples, but Volt is not running. Next Sunday, instead, in Rome, there will be one single member constituency that will need to be replaced, because the incumbent member of the parliament, Paolo Gentiloni, which is the former Italian Prime Minister, has been appointed as European Commissioner, or better, in the European Commission by Ursula von der Leyen. So he had to leave the parliament, and as he was elected in a single member constituency, this constituency will have to be to vote again. And Volt is running with Luca Lomuzio Lezza, which is our local candidate, and we will follow live and we will cover live the broadcast for this election. That is going to be the first time that Volt is running to the Italian Parliament, and the second time to a national parliament. We did it in Belgium last spring. This is the second time all over Europe that we are trying to make it, and we have quite good chances to get a positive result. And then 2 weeks later, so we will miss 1 week, then 2 weeks later there will be another one, and that's gonna be really international, because on the same day there will be voting in Bavaria, in Germany, for the municipal elections in Munich, Nuremberg and Bamberg. And at the same time in France, it will be in Paris and Lille, where we're gonna, I think, run jointly with all the parties like the Greens, although I may be wrong on that, so I don't really want to say something extremely wrong. Then there will be 2 other occasions in Italy on May 3rd, where we are running for local elections in the northern region of Südtirol, Alto Adige and Trentino, nearby Austria. And then 3 weeks later, May 31st, 4 weeks later, May 31st, there will be the regional election in Tuscany, especially, and probably also in Veneto. So there will be 2 regions where we are running, but that's still a little bit more far away. We get back to the election in Hamburg, where Volt, according to the count right now, is making about 1% of the votes, which is a very interesting result. But even more interesting is the Eppendorf Winterhude constituency. It's just less than 2% of the counted polling stations. Volt is making almost 3% of the votes in that constituency, where we have indeed a running candidate, because we don't have it all over the city. as other parties do. So
Yes, and the results of Altona, where we have multiple running candidates, are not even in yet. So that is going to be interesting as well. Right now, the polls are actually at 1.1%. Not the polls, the counting results are actually at 1.1% for vote right now.
exactly. There are other areas of the city like Süderelbe, where we are at 0.9. There is the area of Harburg, where we would get 1%. So the results are pretty much stable in those areas where we don't have candidates. In Bergedorf, we are at 0.8. Rahlstedt, it's 0.4. So in Rahlstedt, which I really don't know where it is, we get a little bit less. In Ashtertal,
It's in the west, in the no, in the east. It's in the east side of Hamburg.
Okay, thank you. Ashtertal Waldorfer, we are at 0.4, so also this area is a little bit weaker for us. Bramfeld, Fanzenberne, 0.5%. Vansbeek, 1.3%. So in Vansbeek, we are actually doing pretty well, although it's less than 5% of the poll stations so far. In the 10th district of Fußbüttel, Astedorf, Legenhorn, we are at 1.5. Also, this is quite good. In Bamberg, Uhlenost, Dulsberg, it's 2.1. 2.1 in the 9th district, which is at 10% of the counting. So this one is definitely a very reliable result. And we would indeed have a very, very important outcome. Eppendorf Winterhude is still the same, 2.8%. The 7th district of Lockstedt, Niendorf, Schnelsen, it's 0.4, so we are a bit weaker in this one. The 6th district of Stellingen, Eimsbüttel West, sorry for my terrible German pronunciation, we are at 1%. Rotebaum, Arvestehude, Eimsbüttel Ost, we are at 1.5. This is also quite good. In Blankenese, it's 1.4. Altona is not updated yet, which is the one we are most interested on. Billstedt, Wilhelmsburg, Finkenwerder, it's 0.6, and finally Hamburg Mitte, so the city center of Hamburg, it's 1.5% with less than 7% of the poll stations counted.
The statistical office for Hamburg and Schleswig-Holstein is really trying to make it exciting for us to see what the Altona results are going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, that's thrilling. But in general, I mean, the counting right now, it's still less than 10%. In general, there is, though, that's the official counting, it's not addressed to the different municipalities, so we may be wrong in that. But it seems that the AfD are getting a better result in the polls than what the exit polls were saying, and the FDP instead is doing worse. So in this case, right now, the official counting sees the AfD at 6.8% and the FDP at 4.8%. So they would literally switch the roles, and the AfD would indeed make it if the results are like this. I don't know if they are gonna stay the same as it was stated before. So, we have Altona. We have Altona, and well, it's just one polling station, so it may not be too representative. But that polling station in Altona says that we are at 1.7, which is not bad. 43 people voted for us. In the same polling station, AfD is getting 2.2. So in Altona, we are 0.5 points far away from the AfD. Still,
Maybe we will beat them in the end, in Altona at least.
that would be
That would be quite
unbelievable. And
something.
I mean, the resources, the publicity between us and them is absolutely in their favor because, I mean, they have invested a lot of money in this campaign while we didn't really had that much campaign, that much results so far. Soon we are gonna have also a different screen because that's what our candidates are deserving. So a screen just for them, and we're gonna give them because they really deserve it. Soon you will see that Patrick and Mira right now. So this is just the first polling station out of 127 in Altona is stating that Volt is getting 1.7% of the vote, which won't be enough, unfortunately, to bring us to the state parliament. But it's absolutely a very, very good start for pan-European movement that doesn't really have so much investors as others do. So I really think that we should be proud of what we are achieving. And I think that where we are present, I mean, where people can see us, they trust us. Don't you think so?
Well, I'm not sure. Most people don't trust politicians, that there is a lot of reason for it. I think they have a lot of hope for us. I think our voters are optimistic and they think that we can improve things and we will do what we promised. And I hope that we will be able to stick to that when it is actually time for it. To answer a question from the YouTube chat, how much do we need for one seat in the Hamburg State Parliament? So, as the election system in Hamburg is rather difficult, there is two ways to gain seats in Parliament. One is to gain 5% of the vote in the city, and those 5% would then like meet a threshold to pass into Parliament. We would already have multiple seats with those 5%. This is very unlikely that we're going to achieve it. The other option is that you reach the 5% barrier. No, that you reach a certain threshold, which is not 5%, I think, in one of the electoral districts. And we are running in 2 electoral districts, which are also the ones that that we are running in. I see a question from one of my best friends in the chat. Greetings to Grün 44. Do you know when the official end result will be released? I don't, do you?
Yes, that will be tomorrow. In the morning, there will be the final results, and in the evening, those results will be official. So, in case there is any discrepancy or any party would need to make a complaint, they will have time until tomorrow evening to decide what is the outcome. Soon you will see a different screen which will sum up instead the results of our candidates, because that is indeed, I think, what you're hearing is Vincent pouring some water in his bottle. At least I hope so. But indeed,
yes, it's time to stay hydrated.
Absolutely. Soon we will go on a break because, of course, this live is a bit exhausting. Maybe not as the one in Emilia Romagna, because that one was indeed giving us a huge pressure, considering that the general result, was so important for the national politics, and that Volt was supporting another candidate president, because of course we were running in a coalition, while this is not the case in Hamburg. We went on 4 hours with the huge effort and hoping that we would actually have a good outcome for our party. It most likely won't be the case today, because we know it's general results are not a surprise, and we just need to know how much we can see vote is growing in Germany, and I think it is. The results are showing it. It's a slow growth, but we can actually make something really, really good. And you can see it already now, because the screen now is updated. Patrick Fischer and Mira Alexander in the district of Hamburg-Altona are getting 1.7% of the support, while Philipp Alan Fontaine in Eppendorf-Winterhude is getting 1.9% of the votes. In general, the polls are stating that, so this is the official count, it's not exit polls anymore, we are getting 1.2%, which means we would be the third party below the threshold. Right now, as we are speaking, the counting of the votes is reversing a little bit what we were saying before. We are kind of far away from the official results. We are roughly 15% of the counted votes, so we are still far away from what can be the final results. Right now, the official results are saying that the AfD may actually make it into the parliament, while the FDP not. But we are still far away, so we don't know. Above Volt, there is the FDP, basically, with 4.6, and Die Partei, so it's a kind of joke party, which is not that joke anymore. I don't know how you see it, because it in an international perspective is maybe a little bit complicated, but Die Partei was born as a joke party mocking the old communist party ruling in East Germany, but now I think they're growing a little bit their support basis. I don't know what is the reason why, if they have strengthened their position.
The reason for it, as far as I would tell, since I was honestly considering voting for them before I got to know Volt, is that they are fun and they tend to actually support reasonable policy decisions, even though they mainly make joke policy in their speeches.
That is actually very interesting. We have some updates, and we will send it to you kind of soon. In Eppendorf-Winterhude, we are getting a little bit slower, because we are at 1.6, still above Die Partei though, because we are 1.6, Die Partei is at 1.3, so we are actually running to overrun Die Partei. In Altona, instead, we have a second polling station out of 127, and in Altona we are at 1.9, which is better than we could see before. In Hamburg Mitte, the city center of Hamburg, we are actually doing even better. We are at 2.1%.
Enrico, breaking news, Altona just changed to 2.5%.
Okay, so that is even worse than they were polled before. I don't really know why probably the counting has started in those districts where AfD was even doing better. But no, actually, I don't have this one right now, at least not in the Morgenposten. Probably you have it in the Abend.
Sorry. I was looking at the live counting statistics.
Okay,
where currently we have more votes in Altona than the AfD.
Okay. So yeah, now it makes sense. Yeah, that's actually in Altona we are ahead of AfD. I mean, if that would be the results, we would have extremely good reasons to celebrate. Because that is literally unbelievable. Yeah, because now it's 5 out of 127. So Vincent, if you agree, I would say let's go for another break for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then going on until 8:30 in the evening for this broadcast, so that we can also let our listeners to enjoy their meal not too late in the evening.
Yes, you were saying until 8:30?
Yeah, 8:30, so another 45 minutes from what we are broadcasting right now.
So a bit of a longer break. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, just to reply to the Irati, he said, I have never heard Volts. Well, we can give you a reply because we can understand that not everybody has heard about us. It makes sense. We are a kind of young party. We are a pan-European party, a progressive federalist and ecological party, ecologist party that is running all over Europe, and we are covering the state election in Hamburg today. And it seems we are doing quite good, at least according to what are our resources. And yeah, okay, stay updated. We are going to be in a break for about 5 to 10 minutes. We will be back with some new updates for the election in Altona and Eppendorf Winterhude, where our candidates are running. Hello, we are back. We are back live. Thank you for waiting for us. I think Vincent is trying to fix his chair somehow. Are you there?
Yes, I am there, and I'm switching the position of my chair indeed.
So, as you see from the screen, or you should see from the screen, we have updated because we reached the 20% of the votes counted all over the state of Hamburg. There are some areas that are a little bit more behind, like Altona, while Eppendorf Winterhude is a bit ahead. The total result for vote right now is 1.2%, which makes us definitely seeable force. Like people can see us. If you're above 1%, I think it means that you can make a difference. It's a small difference, but you can make it. The district of Hamburg Mitte, we don't have local candidates there, but we are running. For the multi-member constituencies, but we are still getting 2%. In Altona, where Patrick Fischer and Mira Alexander are running, we get 2.4%. In Eppendorf Winterhude, where Philipp Antoine Fontaine is running, we get 1.9%, which is still above the average. So that means we are having a quite good run, at least in those districts. I think we can say that we are satisfied from this vote. Vincent.
I was hoping to get a seat in Parliament, but no, yeah, it was to be expected.
Okay, I'm texting in the meanwhile. Sorry for mentioning it. I'm texting, but I'm texting to Mira and Patrick to see if they're available to talk and join us again. Sorry, I can't talk and type at the same time, but if they want to join us again and have discuss about the results that are coming, the proportion of the votes from the, at least from the provision, is more or less still the same. I mean, we don't really have any big news from what is posted in general. If not that, there is gonna be most likely coalition between the Social Democrats and the Green Party and the party which probably is most far from us in terms of civil values and civil rights and whatever else. The AfD can be out from the Hamburg State Parliament, which is definitely a very good news. Volt is not in the parliament either, but we knew that could have happened, and we are still faring at above 1% in several districts of the state of Hamburg, which would make us extremely happy for the efforts that we made, despite very little resources in general compared to other parties, which are of course entering the parliament because of their experience, because of the issues that they tackle daily. The official counting right now states that the Social Democrats are above 40%, which is a little bit above what they were polled from the exit polls. The Green Party is at 22.4%, which is also a little bit below. The CDU is exactly the same, 11. Die Linke, at the leftist party, is at 9%. And then the question mark is above the AfD and FDP. The exit polls were saying that the FDP would make it into the parliament with 5%, not the AfD. The official results right now are stating the opposite. The AfD is above 5%, the FDP is below. So in this case, the AfD would make it into the parliament if the results were the same. Volt Hamburg is at 1.2% when a little bit more than 20% of the seats are counted, with 12,000 people voting for us. I think even if it's 1.2%, it's a very, very good number to look at us. To look at, I mean, almost 13,000. Die Partei is at 1.5, so we are a little bit below Die Partei, which still is it's a frivolous party, which though has a presence of I think 5 or 6 years. I remember they were in the European elections in 2014, so I guess they may have earned some experience. And as you were saying, you were even considering to vote for them in the past. So I think it's a party that has is not just dealing with jokes.
Yes, and they have earned quite some sympathy for uh, their reasonable actions plus comedic politics, which they don't abuse it, so that's good. I still prefer voting for a party that actually proposes optimistic, visionary changes to improve society there.
Okay, we are trying to get in the meanwhile some updates from the local areas where we are actually running. I see there is a question from Shige in the chat. How much do you need for a seat? We would need 5% for what is about the proportional area. So we are definitely below it. Because we are getting about 1.1, 1.2%, depending on how the counting is being made. Then it depends also in the local constituency. We are running in just 2 constituencies, which are Altona and Eppendorf-Winterhude. I hope that Patrick and Mira from Altona will actually join us later on, so that we can share with them a little bit the first impression of this vote. Now that we actually have real results, and we can see that we got more than 12,000 votes, almost 13,000, and we are at not even 20% of the what was calculated. The website of Hamburg Vote has crashed, so we don't really we can't really see the results. I was trying to understand.
The last time I looked it up, it was at 1.2% for Volt, and the SPD is leading with 40.
Okay, we are going to be online for another half an hour, so bear with us. While we are waiting for the results to come, I remind you that next Sunday at 10:30 we will broadcast the by-election for the Italian Parliament in Rome. The results in Altona, there is an update which is about 22% of the counted votes. Volt is at 2.2. So we are establishing ourselves at 2.2, AfD is at 2.6. So in that district, we are actually getting almost the same. We are 300 votes below AfD. In that district in particular, the Green Party is the biggest party, and Die Linke is also getting a very good result. I think, if I am not wrong, there are 5 seats in Altona, and there are 2 seats going to the Greens, 2 to the SPD, and 1 to the Linke. So the leftist parties would and the center to left parties would get all of the seats. In this case, you would need to reach the Linke, which is getting 18%. So it's far above Volt, and also Die Linke is basically doubling their state result, because they were awarded about 9% of the votes. They are getting 18%, so that is actually a quite strong result for them. Eppendorf-Winterhude, in the meanwhile, as the website is loading, and I think a lot of people are in the website right now, so that is the reason why we can't see the updates. In the meanwhile, Paul will join in a second. From my account, said Mira. So yeah, Paul van Loper will join us. That is really, really, really a pleasure for us to have somebody from the German board providing us information and giving us some hints for what is going on in such an important election, and with the result that is indeed really, really good. I mean, we are doing much. We are doing quite well compared to the European election, where though the people voting, the people reaching for the vote, the turnout was much lower. So we could expect to go down because a lot of more people are involved for a municipal election. Instead, we are doing quite well. Sorry, Vincent, are you there?
Yes, I was thinking our new guest, whoever it might be, should probably was
I,
probably going to say something.
it's
I am
Paul
still
Van
here, of
Loper, but
course.
he hasn't reached us. Or maybe yes. Before getting to Paul, I just have an update because we have the new provisional results from the ARD, the German state television. The Social Democratic Party is at 13.6%. The Green are at 24.8, so they are basically what they were awarded from the exit polls. CDU is at 11.2, Die Linke, the leftist party, at 9.1, FDP at 5, and AfD at 4.9. So the AfD is getting slowly closer to the 5% threshold. It may be really a matter of the last vote to understand if FDP and AfD will make it into the parliament. The other parties are listed at 6.4%, meaning that Volt will be in that area, but about 1/6 of those votes is going to Volt, which is something that makes us really, really proud, I would say. With 40% of the counted votes, Volt is awarded 1.2, and now we are reaching 16,000 votes. So 16,000 people voted for Volt in Hamburg. We had Paul for a second, but I think it disappeared.
Into the mist of the unknown. Probably gonna come back though.
Exactly. We don't know what happened with Valerie either, because we thought she would have been here and she is not. But of course, as the European president of Volt, she may be really, really busy with it. She might have a very busy schedule, so we can understand that she may not be there. But I hear somebody, Mira, or I don't know if it's Paul van Loper. Hello? Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, I think now I can hear you.
Good
This
evening.
is Paul, the president of Volt Germany. I just left the election party, hoping to understand you right now, but I think now I can hear you.
And we can hear you as well. Nice to have you.
Amazing.
How is the party going in Hamburg? What is
The
mood?
party is going amazing. There's a really, really good mood here. I think this mood is especially good because we might see that the right-wing extremists of the Alternative for Germany are not going into the parliament right now, which is, of course, a great source of happiness for all Volters. And we are seeing our numbers constantly rising from about 1%, where they started at the beginning of the evening, to around 1.5%. We are slowly going into that direction. I think right now we are at 1.2%. And in the districts, Hamburg has 7 districts. In some of these where we put a lot of effort in, We got to 2.2%, but of course these numbers are still, really unstable because they're still counting most of the ballots.
In general, Paul, welcome. I mean, we are really pleased to have you here. Paul Van Loper is the president of Vote Germany. I would like to know, I mean, in general, we are awarded about 1.2% of the vote, which is basically the same result we got at the European election, but the turnout is much higher today. So it's basically we are increasing our voter base in a very strong sense. Were you expecting such a big result from us? I mean, we are really in the path of starting to make a difference. Other parties will start to notice us.
Yeah, I think what we really have to stress is that now we already crossed the hallmark of what we got in the European elections. So in the European elections, we got around 9,000 votes from Hamburg. And right now we are already at 10,000, which is
16,000. It's 16,000 right now.
How much is it now?
16,000.
Okay, so we already increased our result by more than 50%, which is really amazing. And why is it so amazing for me? I think, if you think about these elections, they take time to prepare. And after the European elections, our leadership team in Germany were quite burned out. A lot of people kind of left the operations after the European elections just because they had to focus more on their jobs and their careers and their private life. And it was quite hard to kind of kickstart the organization again and get all the teams running. And in that time, the Hamburg team, a lot of people that just joined during the European elections, they came to us and they said, we want to run in Hamburg. And we told them, yeah, but guys, we can't support you right now to a big degree because we have to get our organization back running. And they said, no, we want to take this responsibility. We want to go forward. And they actually made a great progress of organizing themselves to really go into these elections. And I think that is something that really makes me happy because there was a team that didn't participate in politics before. It was mostly new people, and they were able to get already more than 50% than we got in the European elections. And I think that is a very, very cool result, especially because the team was basically running by itself, which is, I think, a great success. Did this answer your question, or did I just do the politician's trick and answer in a very different way than you wanted me to answer?
No, I would say that was really, it was an honest answer, and admitting also that we may have burned out a little bit. That is absolutely a sign of maturity. We are 18,000 votes in the meanwhile, because now the website of Wahlen Hamburg was crashing several times. And I can also tell you that in Altona, we are just at 0.3% from the AfD. So where we have campaigned, we probably, I mean, Altona maybe is also a district with less social tensions than others. So the AfD doesn't really have reason to campaign there as they do in other districts with maybe a lot of immigrants where they complain about, or other situations where they may be getting some more favors from the population. But I think that if we are getting so close to AfD, which has a lot more resources and a lot more visibility, we may expect in the future to be able to challenge them also at the national level.
Yeah, and I think, one thing that is really important for us here is really to learn more from this campaign. So this campaign was the first one where we actually used an app with which we were able to, for example, mark all our election posters. And this really gives us a better understanding of, what happens when we concentrate on a certain district. And this work is also supported by the data analytics team on the European level, and it gives us a much better understanding of how we can actually focus our efforts to get a specific result. And this by itself really helps us to prepare for the national elections in Germany, because we will be able to understand much better where do we need to invest our capacity, our volunteers, our time and our focus. And I think that is a great success in itself as well.
Vincent, do you have any question for Paul?
No, I've tried to research more numbers of the current election, but the website is down. We do have the Hamburg Morning Post publishing a new prognosis, but I can talk about that later. How did you coordinate? Maybe that's a good question for you, Paul. How did you coordinate with the Hamburg team to find out like the printing for the posters? Is this something that the Hamburg team organized all on their own, or did you have them?
Yeah, okay. So in terms of organization, of course, when you start something, and especially if you're not able to give that much focus from the national level, you have to put trust in people. But of course, you also have to take some measures in order to make sure that what's happening there actually represents Volt, because this really frames Volt in Hamburg in a certain political positioning. So what we tried to do was to have a couple of workshops that we prepare, and in which the national level basically, gives some guidelines on how an election could be run here, and then the Hamburg team has a lot of freedom to work inside of these guidelines. And if you look at our election posters, for example, you can see how such organization kind of plays out, because what you can see is that the election posters and the whole kind of design identity of Volt in Hamburg is quite different to what we are normally used to in Volt. So here you can see we gave some guidelines to the team, and then the team made sure to contact a marketing agency to get them to work with us for free, and that kind of resulted in a design that is quite different from what Volt normally looks like. And I think that is also one of the learnings. Of course, when you give a lot of freedom, people will take that freedom, and that's a good thing. But we also have to work on, being more specific in these guidelines that we can give, so that our common brand actually, stays on point and stays on something that makes it relatable to all other Volt chapters. And I think that's a good learning now that we can take and say, okay, obviously our design needs some updates, and that's something that the European team also works already on. And now we have to look at, okay, but how can we take this updated design from Hamburg into what the European team is doing? And how can we create a toolbox so that other campaigns everywhere in Europe can use that very easily for their posters and for their flyers, for example?
Yes,
But
there's
mostly
definitely
it
going
was
to be quite
workshops
the process.
and trying to give people a clear person of contact. So we had one person in our board, the famous Caro Flor, who was basically responsible for making sure that the campaign was driven in a Volt spirit. Then, of course, for financial matters, we had our treasurer that took care of that. And we had the communications team and the events team that was really trying to, get close to what's happening in Hamburg.
Thank you, Paul. Now, we were asking the same question to Mira and Patrick earlier. it seems clearly that the Social Democrats and the Greens are going to have the majority and form a coalition to run again together the state of Hamburg. Of course, we won't be sitting in the parliament, but next year there will be the elections, and there will be other occasions where we will have to deal with those parties. What would be your message to the establishment of the Social Democrats and the Greens, which are also probably the parties where with which in the future we will have to debate more because they share some parts of our policies?
Yeah, okay. I think first and foremost, the message for Volt in Germany is always, we want to change this Europe through the participation of citizens. And that's why you always have to make Europe a part of your campaign in your elections. Because only by doing so, you constantly get into a discussion of where Europe should be and how your city, how your region, how your country should be situated in Europe. And I think that's something very important, because that is the question of Volt. How do we make it happen that all teams cooperate with each other? And that's something that the Social Democrats especially don't do. They always say, yeah, we like Europe and it's nice. But then when you go, for example, for the budget negotiations that you see right now in Brussels, they're not supporting that. They're not putting their money where their mouth is, but they're just talking something, and then in the end, it doesn't really lead to concrete impact. So that, for example, the European Union would now be able to, put much more strategic money into digitalization and into climate change, and that's not happening right now. And that is something, obviously, that we will pressure on, much more concretely. I think the other thing is that something that I learned from Hamburg is that, people look at the economy and they want the economy to run. And I think for us as Volt, as an organization that basically works like a startup, I think we have to get more into that position and really knowing, okay, what do startups need to be able to employ people, to be able to, fund a company really easily. And by doing so, I think we show to people that we have the competencies to make Europe a really innovative continent, and also your city, your region, and your country. And I think that's something that we still have to work on, and to really, unite with the startup community of Europe, which I think in the long term is also really important, because right now Europe is so dependent on technology from either China or the USA. And it will be the technology of our future. And if we don't have our own startups that are successful, then, we will get much more dependent. And I think that is something that we have to work on, and we have to find our answer. And that's a lot related to how do we envision the economy of the future.
Thank you for this presentation of many of the challenges that we seek to tackle across Europe, and also how it influences Hamburg. As a Hamburger myself, I have much more focused on the events leading up to this election than the ones that are coming up soon in Bavaria. And I was wondering, how is the outlook in the other coming up elections in Germany?
Okay, so right now we have two very concrete elections coming up. On the 15th of March, we are running in Munich, the third biggest city in Germany. And in Bamberg, it has 70,000 inhabitants, so it's much smaller. And in both these cities, we are aiming to get at least 1 to 3 basically city councillors. And especially in Munich, we have a very great chance of electing at least 2 city councillors. And if we get to 3, we might even be able to be a part of the negotiations for the new government of Munich. And I think pushing for that and really, trying to get that 3rd seat would really bring up Volt as a really visible basically political player in the third biggest city in Germany. And I think that would be a very big step for us. And then following up, we have the local elections coming up in September in North Rhine-Westphalia, which is the biggest state in Germany. And I think here we also have the aim of, targeting some of the biggest cities to really root ourselves. And all these efforts are basically efforts that will help us to, really run for the national elections that are half a year later than the ones in the Netherlands. So in the Netherlands, there will be in, I think, March or May. And in Germany, there will be in September or October national elections.
Paul, thank you very much for your time. You have been extremely helpful, and we really, really appreciate the efforts that you, the German team, and the local team in Hamburg have been giving to reach such an important result. And I guess we are looking forward to talk together again in 3 weeks when the elections in Bavaria will happen.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having this live stream. Have a good night.
You too. Goodbye.
You as well. A lot of fun at the party.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
So thanks a lot for Paul von Lope that has helped us reaching the German board of Volt Europe. We don't have much left for this live. Do you have any update on the elections, Vincent?
Well, for about, I'd say like 3 minutes now, the website of wahlenhamburg.de is back up for me, but it just says loading data. So unfortunately, no.
Okay, no, I managed to get some results from Altona, Eppendorf, Winterhude, and Hamburg Mitte. So we have updated in the screen, as you can see. If you cannot see it, I'm gonna repeat it for you. In Altona,
well, yes, I do see it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, in Altona we are at 2.6. Eppendorf, Winterhude, and Hamburg Mitte we are at 2%. The total of the city sees us at 1.2%. That's when the 45% of the polling stations all over the city of Hamburg have been counted, which is, I think it's stabilizing a little bit more. Of course, there are aspects where we are doing really well, because in Altona, for instance, we are literally challenging AfD, and we are maybe 300, 400 votes less than them and 0.3 below. Now we haven't updated the data, but that seems really really an amazing result if we can make that. The national result is, of course, different from what we have seen. There is in the meanwhile another projection from, no, that was still the one at 8 o'clock, which is basically the same as before. And most likely FDP and AfD will have to count their last vote to see if they're gonna make it to the Parliament of Hamburg State or not. So for them it's gonna be a very long night. I think for us instead it's time to celebrate and party a little bit. Vincent?
Yes, I am still here. It sounded as if you were going to do some finishing remarks, though I don't really have to add much to that. I did find an interesting statistic which I could talk about, unless you were going to shut this off at this point.
Exactly.
It's
yeah, go on.
Okay. So the polling company Infratest DMAP has released the data of the voter shares across the established parties amongst new voters, so the first-time voters, and it really mirrors the trends in Hamburg politics, with the AfD getting the least of those votes, the Greens getting the most of the new votes, and in order, Greens got the most, then SPD, Linke, FDP, CDU, and AfD, with only 3% of the first-time voters in Hamburg. At least that was Infratestimab's publishment from 1946. That's time, by the way. It's the way I say time. That's not the year 1946.
Exactly. So, just to make some last remarks, that's how the Hamburg Parliament will look like. At least if it is confirmed that the FDP will make it and not the AfD. The Social Democrats will get 53% of the votes. The Green Party will get 34. So the Social Democrats would lose 6 seats compared to, or 5 seats, then they earned 1 during those 5 years. The parliament, so a coalition between the Social Democrats and the Green Party will be necessary. The CDU will get 15 seats, the Linke at 12. FDP and AfD are struggling to make it into the parliament. If they're making it, it will be 7 seats for just one of them, otherwise they will have to share it. Volt is not making it, but as you see, there are very encouraging results from the district of Altona, where we are getting 2.6% thanks to the efforts of Patrick Fischer and Mira Alexander, whom we earned from before. Philipp Allenfontaine in Eppendorf Winterhude instead is getting 2%. The same results that we are getting in Hamburg Mitte, where though we don't have any local candidate, the total of the city with 45% of the ballots counted is 1.2, which makes us the second most growing party in the city of Hamburg compared to the last regional election. From Enrico and Vincent, thank you very much. We are looking forward to hear you and to hear from you, because next Sunday at 10:30, 22:30 Central European Time, we are going to broadcast the first Italian national election where Volt is participating. It's a single-member constituency in Rome, the capital of Italy, where Luca Lomuzio Lezza from Volt will try to earn a seat into the Italian parliament. Vincent, thank you very much also to you.
And thank you for hosting and being a great moderator. So see you all and have a good night.
Good night. Goodbye.